Sure.
Why not? Welcome everybody. Welcome to the 5th edition of the Young Security Conference. I'm Sophie Pownall and I'm head of programs at the Young Security Conference.
And my name is Ben Brücher. I'm the head of operations and the treasurer. And together we've been sort of the leading two of this year's conference, although obviously with a fantastic group of volunteer helpers that sort of really make this all possible.
Yes, it really wouldn't be possible without the volunteers. And we have a great program planned for you over the next 2 days. And for us, this is a highlight conference since it's the 5th year anniversary. And you will hear a bit more about that tomorrow from our co-founder, Moritz. But first,
right now,
yes.
We will ask Amelie to come on stage, who's going to tell you a bit more about this year's sort of theme. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is it done? Is it done? Hello, hello. You hear me? Very well. Yeah, thank you, Sophie and Ben. You rocked the show this year. I'm immensely grateful. This 5th year of the conference, amazing and incredible to be true. I would like, at the very beginning now, to ask our partners actually to listen to this speech, because I really want to thank this support that everybody showed over the past. So we have obviously the Franco-German University, the Friedrich-Naumann-Stiftung, that were always with us for financial support. Then we have the University of the Bundeswehr here in München and the University Paris-Cité that support us with their academic cooperation. And of course, last but not least, the America House, where I stand right now here in Munich, and I would like to ask Markus Faltermeier from the America House to come on stage. And a big round of applause, because without them, this would not be possible.
Thanks, Amelie. Welcome. My name is Markus Faltermeier. I'm responsible for the programs on trade and security here at the America House. And it's your 5th anniversary, right? It's the 4th time that you've been here at the America House, and it's a pleasure to work with you and to host this conference. I've been saying this basically every year since we started, that this year will be one of the most important years to discuss security issues. And every year we are doing that, it seems that it gets even more immediate, more necessary to discuss security politics, trade politics, the position of the EU in the world within the global relations that will define our future. And so I think it's really great that all of you took the time to come here and discuss these issues with us and with Amelie and all the wonderful fellows here at the YSC. And I just want to point out that as an America House, of course, this year has special relevance because there will be the presidential elections as well. And I think those elections will also have a significant impact on how we define our security architecture in the future. We all know how certain parties in the United States think about NATO, or that there is some criticism. Sometimes it's deserved, sometimes it's maybe rhetorics we will see in the future, but also it's important to think, how do we as Europeans relate to or react to what will happen after the presidential elections in the US? And I think this is an excellent opportunity to think about all these issues. And again, welcome to the America House. It's a pleasure that we can do that together. And I'm looking forward to the discussions that we're going to have, and enjoy your time here. Thanks.
Thank you, Markus, and thanks to the America House. So before I just quickly talk about this year's conference and why we do all this, I would like to say that our NGO has been actually founded in Berlin 5 years ago, kind of, 4 or 5 years. And we try to be intergenerational, innovative, and independent. And we try to give a new voice to young people in the context of the European Union's security and defense policy, to be truly creative and to work together across disciplines and boundaries. So when we look at this year's conference, with the title Between Reform and Resistance. I would like to start with an anecdotal here, because this year obviously is full of developments and a lot of challenges. And this year started, for example, with Macron's speech at the Sorbonne. And many people talked about it, a lot of policymakers. We all thought, oh, again, Macron's speech. Not everybody is obviously d'accord with him. And on the same line, we have a strong voice for the European future. But at the same time, we look where we stand right now. We go to Germany, we go to Berlin, we go to Washington, and France, obviously, in Paris, and everybody seems to be despondent, and everybody is criticized, and everybody seems to be disunited. And the Berlin-Washington axis of prudence is still there. So we have a development of kind of a lack of energy right now that is installed, and we started actually this context right now when the war in Ukraine began with a phase of a lot of energy, of urgency, and we thought we could change something. And right now we are getting into a period in the context of self-reflection and kind of a lack of energy. So we have to think during these 2 days, I hope that we have time to think about this general sense of not only overstretch of our institutions that is perceived within the society, and at the same time this growing mistrust towards the EU institutions, and all this in a time where we face crucial votes in Germany, in the EU, in France, obviously, as Marcus just said, in the US in November, and at the same time we still have war on our European continent, and the war will tell us if we will be witnesses of the mortality of the European Union for the first time, or if parts of the Union will fall apart. So all these global considerations are playing out. And when we look at the European Union, we remind ourselves 5-10 years ago, when we lived the good old days of the free international order, premised on the US being the only superpower, we see that this time comes to an end. We see that multilateralism and interdependence comes to an end. And we see that democracy and democratization might come to an end. So with these words, I don't want to be too dramatic. Obviously, I want also to introduce this Young Security Conference and its 5th edition with positive notes. So I want to say our generation, have to work together to find new ways of cooperation and exchange. And with these words, I would like to ask Pierre Clouet, French Deputy Counsel here in Munich, on stage to present his words of introduction. Thank you very much.
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, dear fellows, thank you very much for inviting me again this year. I'm very pleased to attend the Young Security Conference 2024. Special thanks, of course, to Amélie and Maurice Flössler for organizing this event dedicated to the lessons we have learned about Europe in the past years. Concerning France and Germany, I can say that, of course, we know that Germany and France traditionally have opposing strategic defense culture, which was made very clear by Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. However, security policy cooperation between Germany and France has intensified even further since February 22. France, of course, is aware that Germany is one of the countries in Europe most affected by the war in Ukraine and its various consequences for our stability, our security, and our economy. And France fully supports Germany's Times Turn Zeitwende. For 2 years, Germany and France have been working tirelessly to find compromise-based solutions for Europe in the face of the Russian war in Ukraine and the resulting geopolitical, security, economic, and energy shock. These crises highlight the threats in our world and have revealed Europe's dependence in the area of security, defense, energy, and for the supply of raw materials. The terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel has tragically added a new risk of destabilization. At the beginning of February, Federal Chancellor Scholz and Prime Minister Attal were optimistic, however, about the joint armament project. The main ground combat system, MJCS, main battle tank project, is expected to be operational over the next decade. And the FCAS, Future Combat Air System, is expected to be operational from 2040. On the 22nd of March, our two defense ministers, Sébastien Lecornu and Boris Pistorius, agreed on the distribution of tasks in the development of the after-mentioned tanks of the future with 50-50 division of industry in Berlin. And Boris Pistorius was in Paris on April the 26th to sign an agreement. So Germany and France also want to jointly produce ammunition and spare parts in Ukraine. To this end, the French-German tank manufacturer KNDS, the joint venture of the German arms company Krauss-Maffei-Wegmann and the French company Nexter, is to build a factory in Ukraine where spare parts will be produced. At the Ukraine Aid Conference in Paris at the end of February, a statement by our President Macron about a possible deployment of Western ground troops to Ukraine led to high tension, of course, but this was largely exacerbated by the press. Moreover, several discussions have also been held since then. I've just mentioned the meeting between the defense ministers Lecornu and Pistorius on March 22 in Berlin, but also Foreign Minister Baerbock, and also visited the French Minister Séjourné in Paris at the beginning of March. And on March the 15th, Federal Chancellor Scholz received President Macron for a bilateral discussion at the Chancellery in Berlin. Afterwards, Chancellor Scholz and President Macron met with the Polish Prime Minister Tusk. This meeting focused on supporting Ukraine. It was the first meeting of the so-called Weimar Triangle at the top level since June last year. As you read at the beginning of April, the three foreign ministers of the Weimar Triangle called for even greater rearmament in Europe in a joint guest article on the occasion of NATO 75th anniversary. Yeah? And of course, we will experience a very important event in 2 days with the state visit of President Macron in Germany. I've highlighted only a few topics, of course, in terms of strategic autonomy and European sovereignty. And I hope the 2 days of this conference enable you to deepen the discussions. It's very important that young people like you do seize such matters. And I am confident that you will help find solutions and shape the world we want to live in. We count on you, and I thank you very much one more time for your attention.
Thank you very much. And with these wise words and full of hope and creativity and questions, I would like to tell you that we have our first panel starting in actually some minutes on enlargement policy of the European Union. everybody online and here, please stay in the room here in Munich, and everybody online, stay in your room online. And see you in 2 hours when I'm moderating a panel on the Weimar Triangle. See you then.